Today on Fox Saturday Baseball, it's an NL Central showdown in America's heartland. Reigning MVP Ryan Braun and his Brew Crew take on the defending champion St. Louis Cardinals. For the first place cards, David Freese's bat didn't cool down in the offseason.
Freese unloads, it's gone! Wow, and boy is he on fire.
As for a former Cardinal star,
Albert Pujols struggling as of late.
can Albert Pujols find his swing against Cleveland today? Or will the Tribe keep the punch out of his bat? We'll break down what's wrong with Prince Albert's swing. All that, plus a look at baseball's biggest headlines.
Home run number 10 is on the way and gone.
Fox Saturday Baseball starts right now.
And welcome to the Chevrolet Fox Saturday Baseball pregame show powered by MLB Network. It's the final Saturday of the season opening month of April, and we've got three terrific matchups on tap this afternoon. Starting in St. Louis, the defending World Series champion Cardinals look for their 14th win in their last 18 games against Ryan Braun and the rival Brewers. In Cleveland, the Indians are in first place and off to a great start, but more surprising, the last place Angels. Albert Pujols and company try to snap a 5-game slide. Finally, in Minnesota this afternoon, the Royals and Twins collide in a matchup that features a handful of the American League's bright young stars. And with that, we welcome you inside MLB Network Studio 3. Matt Vasgersian, Harold Reynolds, joined by 11-year veteran Eric Burns. Welcome to the party.
What's up, Burnsy? Harold, it's good to see you. Hopefully I can replace Millar. Oh, that's going to be hard.
Huge shoes to fill, left behind by Millar. Hey, let's start, guys, with the Brewers and Cardinals, a game that most of you will be seeing this afternoon. The defending world champs have picked up right where they left off.
John Jay, Shane Robinson, both guys playing center field right now, hitting near 400. You top that off with the guy who replaced Albert Pujols, Carlos Beltran, has 5 home runs. David Freese picked up right where he left off in last year's postseason, hitting 350, 19 driven in. Even though he didn't want to come on the show with us today, that's okay. I don't blame him. If I was hitting 350 and got off to the start he has, I'd stay away from the cameras as well.
His
don't change
birthday
anything
today, Mr. Freese. I'll tell you what, though. You know what I like about this club is they play with a swagger. Got a tremendous confidence. And, you know, Matheny's picked it up. And basically having somebody who's been around them and knows each one of the guys, they fit right in. You know, and they've had injuries along the way. But 22 home runs in 20 games has powered this offense. And the surprise has been that Adam Wainwright hasn't won a game. He's lost 3 games.
No Wainwright, no Carpenter, and they haven't Kyle Loesch, Lance Lynn's been unbelievable, Jake Westbrook, Jaime Garcia.
Yeah.
Look out, this staff is for real.
Strong as ever, and our Fox Watch takes us out to Busch Stadium where Joe Buck and Tim McCarver have the call, guys. No Albert Pujols. Tony La Russa has ridden off into retirement. World Series champs, however, looking as tough as ever.
Yeah, you know, and as I'm listening to you guys talk, the one thing that strikes me is they're having fun. I mean, you know, obviously the record speaks for itself with regard to La Russa in St. Louis. There's no question he's a Hall of Famer. They also lost a Hall of Famer in Albert Pujols, now playing for the Angels, still waiting for that home run. On the other hand, what's going on here with Matheny is it's almost like the pressure valve has been released, and these guys are smiling and bouncing around, and yeah, they've lost some big pieces, but they may be better in 2012 than they were in 2011, and Matheny will have a big role in that.
Mike Matheny at 41, the youngest manager in the major leagues, and if you're going to take over for a major league team, you want it to be an organization like the St. Louis Cardinals. Throughout their minor league system, they can pitch, they run the bases well, they're good hitters, they're obviously talented off a world championship season. Mike's very happy to be here after 20 games.
What system did you come up through?
The same one.
We get ready for a rematch of last year's NLCS. I already got him laughing. That's a good sign. Matt and guys, back to you in wherever you are, New Jersey or wherever you are.
Got us laughing too. We're in TV, Joe. That's where we are. We're in the TV. Let's talk a little bit about the Cardinals briefly, and I think Joe and Tim hit on it. Mike Matheny has really picked up. It's a different voice, but it's one that's leading them in the same direction.
You know, the one thing about this, too, he was handpicked by Tony La Russa. And I talked to Mike about this in spring training. And I said, when did you start thinking about becoming a manager? Tony went to him in the playing days and said, hey, start thinking like a manager someday you may be. So I think that's helped him be able to make that transition.
Guys, give a lot of credit to Mike Aldrete, one of the great baseball minds out there, who's Mike Matheny's bench coach, who you got to figure a guy who's never managed before is going to rely a lot on the bench coach, and he's helping him out a ton.
All right, guys, from a team that seemingly hasn't missed a beat to one looking to find its rhythm, the Angels start play at 6-14, looking up at the rest of the pack in the AL West. Yesterday, they released veteran Bobby Abreu. They called up a super 20-year-old prospect, Mike Trout, on whom we'll have a lot more later. Eric, it's a team-wide problem, but everybody wants to know first and foremost, what's wrong with Albert Pujols?
Well, Albert Pujols, he really hasn't made any adjustments. He's been getting pounded inside repeatedly, and you saw it in the Tampa series. It was one pitch after another. They kept coming inside. And what you're seeing here is like a reaction from Pujols that I'm not used to seeing. You see him kind of jump out of the way here. Now watch his front hit. Again, trying to come inside. That's his first movement. That's not good. It's okay if a player like Eric Burns or something does that. I was used to doing that all the time, pulling off. So now he gets pitches he should actually drive, Harold, balls out over the plate, and he's so inside conscious, he's pulling down the line. Again,
great point.
A mediocre player, we're used to dealing with stuff like this. Albert Pujols has been locked in essentially for the entire course of his major league career. He has not dealt with this.
Yeah, no, he's struggled, no doubt about it, but this club has struggled. This is not the type of Angel team we're used to. 9 stolen bases, they're 24th in the league, they're very stagnant base to base. They released Bobby Abreu yesterday to free up some playing time for Mike Trout, who we'll get into a little bit later, but this kid can ignite at the top. But I think one suggestion, they've had 17 lineups in 20 games. You got to get some offense going. Albert played 107 games at third base with the Cardinals, 7 last year. When the Cardinals were going through their funk, he played third base. I would put Albert at third, Trumbo at first, and jumpstart this offense and get it going.
Oh, here
you
we
need
go.
those bats.
Skipper Harold
Just making a change. You got to shake it up. Come on, Mike. You got to shake it up a little bit.
Your questions.
You need to manage from here.
Questions to @MLB on Fox using hashtag AskMLB on Fox. Then stick around for closing time. Time for us to take a break. When we come back, more on the 2 super prospects called up to help out in Anaheim and in D.C. Not that there's much help needed there. Also, we'll go inside the surprising first-place tribe next. The Chevrolet Fox Saturday Baseball pregame show is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. Marco Estrada, Kyle Loesch in St. Louis this afternoon. Boy, how good has Kyle Loesch been to start the season? 3-0, ERA under $1. Marco and the Brewers up against it this afternoon. Milwaukee's dropped 3 of 4 against the world champs to start their rivalry in 2012. Cardinals-Brewers coming up in just a bit. And among those there, FoxSports.com senior writer Ken Rosenthal, who joins us. And Kenny, let's get you going on some league-wide topics, including the Dodgers' new ownership expected to take over Monday, and the Padres could be getting a new owner soon. What's the very latest?
Matt, with the Dodgers, no significant changes expected immediately, but they might not be as active as the trade deadline as a lot of people think. The Dodgers are going to have greater financial flexibility. They'll be able to swallow a big contract, but they're thin on prospects, and they're going to be protective of the ones they have. Now, with the Padres, interesting development. Peter O'Malley, the former Dodgers owner, is trying to buy that club. He's making a strong push, and he wants to close the deal by the All-Star break.
Wow, the O'Malleys buying the Padres, a big story in Southern California, big story in D.C. and league-wide, Kenny. Bryce Harper, the former #1 overall pick, being called up to play today against the Dodgers for the Washington Nationals. Nationals are going pretty good. They've said they wanted Bryce Harper to get more seasoning. Why is he being called up now?
Well, Matt, it's a question of need. The Nationals are down 2 big bats, Michael Morse and Ryan Zimmerman, who won on the DL yesterday. And when you look at their left fielders, well, they're hitting a combined .093. Now, this is definitely faster than the Nationals wanted to move Harper. It's not like he's dominated minor league competition, but I spoke to the Twins' AAA manager, Gene Glynn, and he told me that Harper hit the ball hard against his team this week, and that you would never know the kid is 19.
Hey, another kid being called up, Kenny, who is 20 years old. Mike Trout being called back up by the Angels. He had some big league time last year. Why Mike Trout now?
Well, this kid is ready. 400 batting average at AAA, on-base percentage of almost 500. And Matt, you've seen the Angels. They're 6-14. They need a spark. Trout is in their lineup today. He's batting leadoff, and yeah, there's a reason for that. Angels leadoff men last in the American League in on-base percentage.
FoxSports.com senior writer Ken Rosenthal. He'll be at the ball game today as the Cardinals take on the Brewers. Kenny, we look forward to the call. And guys, let's start and talk a little bit about Bryce Harper. Terrific talent, Harold, and his clock starts today.
It sure does. You know, I call him the Justin Bieber of baseball, because he was discovered on the internet. More downloads and being able to watch this kid. But let's go through the timeline. Seriously, 16 years old. There was over 1.5 million downloads on his YouTube sensation. This is a home run derby in Tampa. He hit over 500 feet. Then he shows up on the cover of Sports Illustrated. At 17, he skips the last 2 years of high school, goes to college, and becomes the College Player of the Year and wins the Golden Spikes Award. He's drafted that year, the #1 overall pick. Gets big-time money, and the Nationals immediately sent him to minor leagues for 18 and 19 years old. About a year and a half, in 129 minor league games, 18 home runs, and 61 RBIs. And the next thing he gets sent down to spring training, and he gets a chance to get called up, and yes, a star is born. He's making his major league debut at 19. Now, I played with Ken Griffey Jr. when he was 19. He never got this kind of popularity. This is baseball's Justin Bieber. I'm telling you.
And you can watch baseball's Justin Bieber, Bryce Harper, make his major league debut tonight on MLB Network, 9 p.m., 6 on the West Coast. Nationals facing the Dodgers out in L.A. All right, speaking of Los Angeles, Southern California, little south of Dodger Stadium, Anaheim. Mike Trout, he was in the big leagues last year, reintroduced the world to the super phenom 20-year-old, Bernsey.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Bryce Harper is the best player making his debut, because Mike Trout made his debut last year. He is a 2009 first-round draft pick by the Washington Nationals. He made his debut last year, 19 years old. This is a legitimate five-tool guy. Check this out. This is the speed. We clocked him back there in the video room, 3.41 seconds down to first base. He's got power, but on top of the power, look at the plate coverage. This is last year against the Mariners in Seattle. Watch where this ball goes. I played in Seattle. That place got me released. I couldn't hit the ball out of the ballpark. He is unbelievable. Look at the defense. See where he starts, where this ball's hit, the break he gets on it. And you can almost see after he makes this catch, watch Torrey Hunter's reaction, the multiple Gold Glove winner, the big smile on his face. He knows how special the talent he is. Look at, and then the AAA numbers, 403, 13 driven in, 6 stolen bases, 5 triples, 4 doubles to go with it. So look for Mike Trout to make an impact immediately.
These are the top 2 rated prospects in baseball, and we're teammates in the Arizona Fall.
I love it. Big day of debuts coming up. Time for a quick break, but due up. We'll take you through a fantastic season opening month and a new feature. Our obstructed view tells you why the Brewers Cardinals rivalry today looks the same as it did 30 years ago. Next. Welcome back to the Chevrolet Fox Saturday Baseball pregame show. And pregame may be a little bit longer in Minneapolis, where Steve Physiak and Mitch Williams are waiting desperately to call the Royals and Twins. Tarps on the field, little rain in the area. When that one starts, we'll send you there. And for those of you anticipating the Angels and the Indians, Tom Brenneman, Eric Karros and company are having an additional cup of coffee this afternoon, raining in Cleveland. For those of you waiting for the Indians and the Angels, you'll see the beginning of the Brewers and Cardinals. We'll get you to Cleveland as soon as the weather permits. Final Saturday in the season opening month. It's been a great month of Major League Baseball. Some of your highlights, Bernsey.
Look no further than Matt Kemp, the guy who hit 452, 10 home runs, 23 driven in. He said he's going 50-50 this year, guys. I believe he's going to get the 50 home runs. I don't think he'll get the 50 stolen bases because he keeps hitting the ball out of the ballpark. He literally is playing on a different level.
No doubt about it. But another guy playing another level? Josh Hamilton. You see what he's been doing? My goodness. 378, 9 home runs, 22 RBIs. The home runs and RBIs lead the American League. And how about Derek? How about the captain? He just broke a 15-game hit streak. He's got 34 hits this year, leading all the majors in hits. He's hitting 400.
What about Pablo Sandoval? Forgot during the 2010 World Series run. Came back last year, 315 with 23 homers. Not a lot of people realize that. He's off to an unbelievable start this year, hitting the first 20 games, surpassing the great Willie Mays for the longest hitting streak by a Giant to start the season.
How about starting the season? Philip Humber last week throws a perfect game. That was impressive. Alex Rodriguez earlier hits his 631st home run, becoming 5th all-time. And baseball, I talk about off to a great start. It's my favorite story of them all. Jamie Moyer, 49 years old, wins a game already this year at 49. So baseball's off to a pretty good start, man.
Amazing. Jamie Moyer was drafted in 1984, 2 years after the Brewers and Cardinals met for the very first time in the 1982 World Series. And in our obstructed view, we present a quirkier angle of the Brewers-Cardinals series, specifically why it looks the same today as it did 30 years ago. Brewers closer 30 years ago, Raleigh Fingers. Today, John Axford. One sported the Salvador Dali, the other the Yosemite Sam. Facial hair big with these closers. Hey, 30 years ago, Bruce Sutter was closing for a World Series champ. Today, Jason Mott. Same beard, same mullet. How about the big power hitter for the Brewers? The beast, Gorman Thomas, the buttoned-up matinee idol. They might not look the same. Oh, well, maybe they do.
Oh,
Same. I knew Bronny had some Gorman in him all the way down to the chest hair. Yeah. It's the same rivalry, I'm
Look at
telling
that
you.
lip lettuce.
30
That is
years
phenomenal.
ago. 30 years ago, it looked like that. It looks the same today,
I think
right?
Brian Braun's got to go for that look.
I like that. The little Gorman Thomas is awesome.
Still,
My God.
time for us to take
Good
a
stuff.
quick timeout. Do up. Your chance to get your emails and tweets answered. It's closing time. Why Matt Kemp's so good? Why Mike Napoli's so hot? And what do you think about beards, Bernsey? Closing time, back with Eric Burns, Harold Reynolds, Matt Vasgersian. Before we get you out to the ballpark, it's your chance to have your questions via Twitter answered by these two guys. Let's get a minute on the clock. Can we get some time up there? All right. And Burns, this first one's for you. Do you think it's just a coincidence that players with beards tend to hit for power?
Yes. I mean, if facial hair had helped me hit a baseball, I would have been just, well, then again, I can't grow a beard, so it makes a lot of sense.
No connection. No Samson
No,
and Delilah
none.
thing. Next one's for Harold. Harold, this is serious. Do you see the Angels firing Mickey Hatcher?
Wow. I don't see it because it's a veteran ball club. Eventually, these guys got to figure out their own swings and get out of the funks that they're in.
Why does the blame always go back to the hitting coach?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
First to take the blame, last to get the credit. Next one's for Eric. Mike Trout's small big league experience aside, who is the better, more complete player, perhaps? Mike Trout or Bryce Harper?
Right now, it's Mike Trout. I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, maybe Bryce Harper has more power, but Mike Trout, just look at the minor league numbers. They speak for themselves.
Time for one last one for Harold. Yankee fan wants to know, do you think the Rays will win the AL East, H?
Yankee fan? Wow. Come on, shake yourself. You got to think Yankees, right?
Hey, maybe the guy's just being a contrarian. Final thoughts. There is rain on the map today. Most of you are going out to see the Cardinals and Brewers. Your final thoughts, guys, with two big studs making big league debuts, or one big league debut, one re-debut today.
I'm excited to watch these kids play, you know, especially at the age that they're at, 19 and 20. But they need to get a chance to play on a consistent basis every day. You can't take a full sample without seeing them on every day being able to make adjustments.
Forget about the Albert Pujols struggles. The Halos need to win a game. Losers of five straight, 6 and 14 now. They need to make a move. I feel like this is a team that's going to win 90-plus games, but if they're going to do that, Dan Herron needs to be the stopper today.
Angels looking to a 20-year-old phenom super prospect to try to stem the losing tide. We'll be with you throughout the afternoon with updates from around the league. Enjoy your game, and if it's raining in your place, hey, don't worry, it's going to stop. We'll get you out to Minnesota and Cleveland. Enjoy the games. It's a rematch of last year's National League Championship Series in St. Louis. Now the Brewers and the Cardinals, presented by Chevrolet. Let's send you out to Joe Buck.
All right, Matt, the world champion Cardinals have picked up right where they left off last year. Yesterday, the Redbirds' offense exploded for 13 runs against the Brewers. Now reigning NL MVP Ryan Braun and the Brew Crew hope to slow down the Cardinals in an NL Central showdown. This was supposed to be a washout weekend here in St. Louis. So far, so good. They got through it last night. And it is a beautiful Saturday afternoon for Fox Saturday Baseball. The Brewers and the Cardinals, all yours. And so am I. I'm Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal. Both are coming up. This is that rematch of last year's NLCS, and so far it's been a different start for these two clubs. The Brewers are trying to get to the 500 mark. The Cardinals have come out of the gate firing, and Tim McCarver, main reason why is what they've done on the mound. Their starting rotation has been sensational.
They have been firing bullets. One of the big surprises in Major League Baseball, how well the Cardinals starters have done so far through the first 20 games. Lance Lynn with 4 victories and 4 starts. Jake Westbrook won last night. Cal Loesch goes today. And Jaime Garcia. I mean, if these guys continue to pitch like they have been pitching, and you can't expect that all season long, but if they continue to pitch like that, the Cardinals could be on their way to a division championship.
Yeah, and maybe even better than they were when they won it all last year in 2011. On the other side, you know, so much has been made in this city about the Cardinals losing Albert Pujols, their Hall of Fame first baseman. Well, the Brewers lost their great first baseman in Prince Fielder, and that's really going to affect, you have to believe, the production of the reigning MVP, Ryan Braun.
Joe, I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, it's unrealistic to think that Ryan Braun and the rest of the Brewers can hit the same way in that lineup without Prince Fielder.
You see that Ryan has been hot after suffering an 0 for 16 streak. He and the Brewers trying to slow down this Cardinals team, a 4-game lead in the NL Central. Beautiful day. Glad you're with us. Baseball coming up and next. See a 72-degree day on a Saturday afternoon in St. Louis. Partly cloudy. We hope the rain stays away, which it is supposed to until later on in the early evening. And the opening pitch is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. Give you a look at the Brewers lineup. It's brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Kyle Loesch will deal with. Ricky Weeks leading it off. Then Carlos Gomez batting second. Ryan Braun hits third and left. The reigning MVP. Then Aramis Ramirez at third. Corey Hart in right. Matt Gamble, the young first baseman, bats sixth. Alex Gonzalez, George Kataris. Marco Estrada gets the ball today for Ron Renicky in his second year as manager of the Brewers. He won the division last year, and the first time for the organization as division winner since 1982. And there are the eye-popping numbers so far for Kyle Loesch here in April.
And that was from the very beginning when he started against the Miami Marlins on opening day down in Miami. He is most underrated, says Mike Matheny. He hits the mitt, says Yadier Molina. And he has not been behind in 27 2/3 innings.
Tim McCarver says that.
Yeah.
Matheny says the first thing, then Yadier Molina, and then the Hall of Famer to be in July. Tim McCarver. Ricky Weeks is first up, and the Brewers need to get him going, to say the least. They need Weeks to get hot, and they need Nyjer Morgan to get hot. He's hitting 177, and he starts this game on the bench. Nice sunshiny day on Saturday, and the first pitch is a strike for Loesch, who has walked only 2 with that ERA of 0.99 and a record of 3-0. Weeks and then Gomez, then Braun, and that's outside for ball 1. 88-mile-per-hour pitch from Kyle Loesch, who had a good year last year, but struggled a bit during the postseason, especially in the World Series when the Cardinals beat the Rangers. That's backing out of play, and strike 2. There's first-year manager Mike Matheny. At least I think that's him. Can't see much. There he is. Former catcher and a guy who came up in the Brewers organization, and he has stepped in, and this team has not missed a beat without their Hall of Fame manager Tony La Russa around. That's up and away, and the count evens 2-2. Said it during our Fox Watch during the pregame show that ex-Cardinal catcher has allowed this team just to go out and play. That's down and away, a full count.
And that's hard to do also because I think the inclination for a first-year manager is to be too much hands-on. And the word that Mike uses more than anything is selflessness.
A leadoff walk to begin the day for Kyle Loesch, and we'll take a look at the Cardinals defense, brought to you by Scott's. And it comes with music attached. Matt Holliday is in the outfield and left. John Jay back from the bad shoulder in center. Carlos Beltran in his first year with the Cardinals in right. Then Freeze for Carl Schumacher. Matt Carpenter for the injured Lance Berkman, working his way back from a strained calf. And the catcher who got his Gold Glove award before the start of this game, Yadier Molina, behind the plate. See if Weeks wants to do any running on ball one high to a red hot hitter, Carlos Gomez.
Not only is Weeks a threat to run, but Gomez a threat to push the ball to the right side of the infield. And it might be a good time to do it with the inexperienced Matt Carpenter at first base.
Came up as a third baseman, and he is trying to turn himself into a utility player. He's been the guy Matheny has put at first base since Berkman went down. Here's a bunt in the air for out number one. Bunt for a hit, and instead he popped it up, and it's 1-on-1 out.
You know, Matt Carpenter, to give you an idea of inexperience, could have dropped that ball, tagged Gomez, and then you get Weeks in a rundown. An experienced first baseman might have thought about that.
So Carpenter still getting used to the nuances of that position. In the 14-game winner from a year ago, Kyle Loesch, who was 14-8, 3.39 ERA, gets his first out of the afternoon, deals with Braun and checks on Weeks. Ricky Weeks so far has stolen one, has not been caught, but had been hitting just over 200 since last June 26th. Braun ready for the first pitch from Loesch. Inside, ball one.
It takes very, very quick hands to hold the bat like Braun does and to get it through the strike zone out in front, because he's got a curl to the way he holds the bat. That bat doesn't point to the pitcher like Darryl Strawberry's, for instance, used to, but it's very, very difficult to hit from this stance.
Here's a 1-0. Got in on him, and that ball is fouled left side, out of play, a ball and a strike.
That's what a pitcher and a catcher try to do. They try to tie up a guy whose bat is maybe not pointed toward the pitcher, but pointed a little bit toward the center fielder. This ball inside, and that's where National League pitchers try to pitch Braun. Last year, unsuccessfully, I might add.
Yeah. Ryan Braun, who has started this season, the .278 average, 4 home runs, and as we showed you, he's been hot lately. He fouls one off to the right. Now the count 1-2. Brewers come in 9-11. They've lost to the Cardinals 3 times already in 4 tries. And last night that one got away early and didn't get any better for Ron Renicky in a 13-1 loss here in St. Louis. Ball and 2 strikes on Braun. On deck is Aramis Ramirez. You see the big hole on the right side of the infield and a check on Weeks. When you talk about the Cardinal starters, Adam Wainwright, who is either starter number 1 or 1A, depending on where you rank Chris Carpenter when healthy, is 0-3 with an ERA over 7. The rest of the group, only 1 loss. That's foul. 12-1 for the names of Garcia and Lance Lynn, who became the league's first 4-game winner in his last start, avoiding a sweep at Wrigley Field. This guy Kyle Loesch, last night's winner Jake Westbrook, with a combined ERA of 1.51.
Otherworldly.
And that's with Dave Duncan basically retiring and being away from the ball club. Derek Lilliquist is the pitching coach in St. Louis now. The 1-2. Swing and a miss, out number 2, as Braun is fooled on that pitch from Loesch, 2 out.
Looked like a changeup or a splitter. Normally you don't throw that changeup inside, but he did to get Braun.
And it brings in Aramis Ramirez. And there is just no comparison for the protection that Braun will get in this lineup. Not that Ramirez isn't a good ball player, but you miss the left-handed power presence and a guy who did everything, not just hit for average and Prince Fielder, hit for power, but was also a fun guy in that locker room in the clubhouse. And Ron Renicky telling Ken Rosenthal before the game that even the clubhouse is a bit quieter since they've lost 9 players from last year's team. Backing up is Freese, gets a handle, and the inning is over. A leadoff walk. Weeks never moved. Bottom of the first inning. Estrada to work. No score. Marco Estrada is getting his chance to fill in for Chris Narveson, out with a tear in his rotator cuff, and he makes his second start. Here's the Cardinals lineup, brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bunt. Rafael Furcal leads it off, then John Jay, Matt Holliday, Carlos Beltran, the switch hitter in right, David Freese. Yadier Molina does the catching. Matt Carpenter in place of the injured Berkman. Schumacher at second, and Loesch pitching and batting ninth. Dini telling us he's going with a carbon copy of last night's lineup that cranked out 13 runs. And it's Marco Estrada, who already has 16 strikeouts. This is start number 2. And we get the scouting report for this Milwaukee right-hander.
Why is it a golden opportunity? Because Chris Narveson, the left-hander, is out for the season. He'll have surgery. Estrada off a remarkable performance, 9 strikeouts against the Colorado Rockies in only 5 innings.
Here's Furcal with that half swing, half bunt, and he fouls it away, strike 1.
I don't think anybody in baseball does that but Furcal right now, trying to loop that ball over the head of the drawn-in Ramirez.
Ramos is in to guard against the straight bunt in the 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball down and in. Furcal had an awful spring, to the point where Matheny was auditioning other players to hit leadoff in this lineup, and then once the regular season came around, he got red hot. And he's ahead on the count here, 2-1, off to a .329 start. Ken Rosenthal is with us today, and we'll check in with Kenny in just a minute, maybe right now, as Furcal pops it up into left, and Braun to his right has it, 1 out. Ken Rosenthal, let's hear a little more about Marco Estrada.
Well, Joe, the Brewers claimed him on waivers from the Nationals in February 2010. Estrada barely pitched that season due to an injury, and at the end of the season, the Brewers dropped him from their 40-man roster, making him available to any team. Well, they re-signed him to a minor league deal, and he got his chance last spring when Zach Greinke fractured his rib. The Brewers started looking at all these other pitchers, but they kept inviting Estrada over from minor league camp, and he kept impressing them.
Here's a fly ball into left off the bat of John Jay, and 2 quick outs.
No.
And Ken Rosenthal, are you finished with your report, or does that fly ball just put a long pause in it?
Well, it was a long pause, Joe. Basically, he got his chance because of the Greinke injury, and then he began his versatile Brewers career. He has filled a number of roles for them, and now, as you guys said, here's his chance to start.
Yeah, and the Nationals could afford to get rid of some of that second-line pitching, because they lead the majors in earned run average right now.
Yeah, if you don't know that, that's what's going on with the Washington Nationals in the NL East. Ken just sat down, but I'm going to ask him who his bow tie is representing here this afternoon.
Joe, this one is for Autism Speaks. It's National Autism Awareness Month.
Thank you, Kenny. Nobody can tie a bow tie like Ken Rosenthal.
Now. He had a tough time when he started last year,
He was
however.
late to the ballpark every Saturday. Counts 2-1 on Matt Holliday, who's off to a slow start, hitting .233. He has hit 4 home runs, which ties him for 10th in the National League. Beltran behind him. No Berkman. First week of May, he'll be eligible to come off the DL. Good pitch by Estrada in on the hands. That's strike 2.
That's that sneaky fastball we were talking about in the scouting report. It gets on hitters in a hurry, even though it's only a 91, 92 mile an hour heater. Tough to pick up.
It's got an odd delivery.
Got an odd delivery from the windup and the stretch.
Fly ball into shallow center. Gomez can go get him with the best of them, and it's a 1-2-3 start for Marco Estrada. We go into the second in St. Louis. No score. Today's game is sponsored by the all-new Mazda CX-5 with 35 highway MPG, and by the Snap spreader system from Scott's. Feed your lawn, feed it. Nice partly cloudy day in the low 70s in St. Louis, and into the bottom of actually the top of the second. That's when the visiting side bats. And it's Corey Hart to lead it off with Matt Gamble to follow, and Alex Gonzalez due up third. A swing and a miss for Hart, who's second in the league with his 6 home runs, and a guy only played a couple of games during the spring after knee surgery, but he didn't need it. He went all Allen Iverson on us. And who needs practice? Practice? About practice.
He had that knee surgery late in the spring, actually February, which is late because spring training's right around the corner. But he did have some at-bats in the minor leagues, but not a lot of major league at-bats, as you said, Joe. Only 2 games.
I can tell you're at your best right now because Bob Gibson is in the park.
Yeah.
Here's a ground ball to the left of for call.
I like it.
And 1 out. He was one of the money makers for you over your career. And here are the Ford keys to the game on this Saturday afternoon.
The key to those Cardinal teams was don't let Gibson get hurt. The key to the Brewers today, get innings out of Estrada and hope that he can go deep into the game, 6 or more. And with the Cardinals, keep their starting pitchers going. And I know of no starting pitcher for the Cardinals that was even close to Bob Gibson.
Here is a strike from Loesch to Matt Gamble, and it's good news for the Brewers that Gamble and his shoulder are okay. He had a nasty collision on Monday as he grounds one to first. Carpenter is there, and that's out number 2. And here is that collision against Houston. Ricky Weeks fouled a ball to Carlos Lee. Gamble tried to tag up and score from third, and then bang.
Wow.
And that left shoulder bore the brunt of it. It had some swelling. He sat out a couple of games, and now he's back.
Left shoulder of Gamble and the neck of Jason Hernandez of the Astros. What a lick.
Here is a strike over the outside part to Alex Gonzalez.
Said it's Jason Castro, I beg your pardon, the catcher for the Houston Astros on that fine play.
Here is Freese backing up, stabs it, throws sidearm, and gets his man. We go to the bottom of the second now with the Cardinals coming up with Beltran, Freese, and Molina. No score. Today's game presented by Chevrolet, sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. That's time-lapse photography. Those cars are not moving that fast typically through downtown St. Louis. Carlos Beltran first up, then David Freese, Yadier Molina. And Beltran has been a nice addition. And what I didn't know about Beltran, and this is shame on me if he was this way back with the Mets. I think he was more with Houston. Once he got to the Mets, I think there was a lot of pressure around this guy to justify the big contract he signed after that 0-4 postseason with Houston. But the Cardinals have been as impressed with Beltran in the clubhouse, working with young outfielders in spring training and asking his way back into the lineup Wednesday in Chicago when the Cardinals were trying to avoid a sweep, as much as they are with what he's able to do at the plate and in the outfield.
I don't think he had a chance to be himself in New York, but here in St. Louis he has flourished. And is there anybody in baseball right now who carries the lineage of grace any better than Beltran?
And as his manager Mike Matheny talked about before the game, he said he's the most efficient player I've ever seen. Here's a long run for the third baseman Ramirez. Foul ball. Aramis couldn't get there. 1-2 on Beltran. We'll give you a look at the defense for Milwaukee. It's brought to you by Scott's. Braun is out in the outfield and left. Carlos Gomez, a tremendous center fielder. Corey Hart in right. Ramirez, Gonzalez, Weeks, and Gamble. Gutierrez is the catcher, and Estrada on the mound today.
Joe, I don't think I think we were both we raised our eyebrows when Mike Matheny used that term, efficient. And what he meant by that is there is little wasted movement defensively or offensively for Beltran.
He is out in front of that good changeup from Estrada, and that's strikeout number 1 for the Milwaukee right-hander. Good pitch, 1 out.
And for the most part, when Estrada is on, he works off fastball changeup. He'll mix in a breaking ball. But you get that guy in that pendulum between the fastball and the change, as he did Beltran, then you got him.
Nice hand for David Freese. Last time we were in this booth, last October, David Freese put together a Game 6 and part of a Game 7 that it's about as good a 2-game stretch in a World Series at the end of a tremendous postseason that he had as you can find in the history of this game. To strike in at the knees, inside part, the count's 0-2, and Estrada looks good.
As deserving an MVP in the World Series as anybody was David Freese.
With 1 out, nobody on, here's an 0-2. That is just outside. Good pitch, ball 1.
That was a cutter that missed outside.
On deck is Molina. Here is a 1-2 pitch. Reaching for it in the hole. It's Gonzalez. Good play. 2 out. What a good play. A lot of range in the throw across his body for the 35-year-old shortstop.
35-year-old with his 6th major league team, backhanding it and throwing it on the run. And what else can he do? He's got some pop too. Don't let that little body fool you. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark as far as anybody.
To 155 home runs from that shortstop position. That's a lot. 3rd active, by the way, among active big league shortstops. Base hit to right. Off the bat of Molina. And a guy who had a career year in many ways last year, especially with the bat in his hands, is adding to a 284 average here with a 2nd inning single to right. Brings in Matt Carpenter. Driving the ball a little better is Matt Carpenter, hitting the ball with a little more authority. He's had some good years in the minor leagues. Matheny saw a lot of them in spring training, got a lot of at-bats. Made the team, and he has been the everyday first baseman for this club with Berkman on the DL. Gets under it and fouls it back and out of play.
Of course, Matt Carpenter didn't have big shoes to fill. That's why he's done so well.
Right.
First.
Yeah, so much for worrying about who you're taking the place of. And Carpenter is number 1 among National League rookies. Oh, come on. This isn't fair. Number 1 in the RBI department with his 14 RBIs. And Pujols has done virtually nothing with the Angels so far. That's a pitch up and away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
How about the Angels? The Angels are already, after 20 games in the season, 9 games behind the Texas Rangers.
They're 6-14. They're 2-8 over their last 10 games. They've lost 5 straight. There's Molina going on a 2-out hit and run, trying to get a little motion going on the bases. And the count 1-2. You know, even when the Angels click in, and I think they will click in at some point, you're trailing a really good Texas team. They're not going to slow down. I mean, they're not going to be 15-5 and carry that forward. They're going to have their stretches where they struggle, but that team can do everything, and I don't know how the Angels will catch up. What are you smiling about?
I'm thinking of that conference call we had less than a month ago when I picked the Angels to win the West.
Here's a 1-2 popped into left. We can pick them. That's why you're broadcasting and not in Vegas with a velvet jacket on, wandering aimlessly around a casino,
I've
putting
done
money
that
on
too.
games. Back after this from your local Fox station. MLB on Fox is presented by Chevrolet as we welcome you to the third inning. No score. Cardinals have the game's only hit, and George Kataris takes a strike over the inside corner. Kataris is a good backup catcher, a valuable piece to this Brewers team, or really any he would play for, because he's a guy that hits left-handed and can come off the bench, has some pop, and is a good catcher. Lucroy is the starter. Jonathan is on the bench to begin the day, and here's a fly ball into left. That ball's going to drop for a hit. Kataris will be content with a leadoff single, and with a lot of rain falling around the United States, we go to Matt Vasgersian for a DirecTV game break.
Joe, yeah, all eyes are on you and Timmy in Cleveland. Angels and Indians are under delay in Minneapolis. Same can be said of the Royals and Twins. No official start times for either of those games as of yet. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. We send the entire country back to you in St. Louis.
You know
Joe.
how to make a guy nervous. So we're going to plow our way forward as Kataris is on to start the inning, and that gives Estrada a chance to bunt. If that's the way Ron Renicky wants to play it.
It is.
Okay. Check on the runner Kataris, who floated a base hit into left to add to that 316 average.
Well, the bunt's got to be better when you have a guy that cannot run. George is not fleet of foot at first base.
Like all catchers, he can't run. Here's a little bunt. Carpenter thought about it, and out at first on the sacrifice. 3-4 with Schumacher, the second baseman, taking the throw. Carpenter thought about trying to get Kataris, who can't run because he's a catcher, at second base.
Will you watch it?
I know you could run, and you weren't the only one, and that bunt was good enough by Estrada. Carpenter may have had a chance, but took the sure out at first.
One of the faster catchers in the American League, John Wathan, had 33 stolen bases one year, and a lot of people may not remember Johnny Bench had over 60 stolen bases for his career, I think, but it was close to 60. He could run.
You know what you just made happen? As Weeks tries to hold up one around, you just made Steve Horn go right to the record book.
I love it because I want to know that, but I think it was 63 stolen bases for Johnny Bench's career. I'm not sure. Be wrong about that. But.
Strike one on Weeks, who walked his first time up. Powerful second baseman, hitting under 200 to start the year with 3 home runs, and that's on the inside corner. Strike two.
I was low. 68, Steve says. 68 stolen bases
for Johnny Bench.
For Johnny, for his career. A lot of people don't know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah. He could run.
0-2 the count on Weeks with Gomez on deck. Runner at second. No score here in the third inning, and a little chopper on the infield. Tough play for Kyle. No play, and it's an infield hit. So the Brewers have something going here in the third with 2 on 1 out, and Gomez coming up.
It is so frustrating to make your pitch and to still have the offense pluck away and get a couple of hits. The slider in on Kataris. He flopped it in front of Matt Holliday and left. And now an infield hit for Ricky Weeks.
Brings in Gomez, who started this day hitting .369 since the second week of last September. He is in there facing the right-handed starter Loesch, as Niger Morgan has been getting better at bats but is still struggling and on the bench. That is ball one low. got that glove on the left hand of Ricky Weeks.
I've never seen
like an oven mitt. Here's a foul back to the screen, and the count 1-1.
Gosh, it's so long to protect that left hand of Ricky Weeks.
Gutierrez at second. 1 out. And a 1-1 pitch from Kyle Loesch is inside. 2-1. Big NASCAR race from Richmond coming up tonight here on Fox, and we'll be talking about that and get an update during the course of the day from Chris Myers. Here is a 2-1. Breaking ball, double play ball to Furcal. Out. Into the bottom of the third. Cardinals will have Schumacher, Loesch, and Furcal. Loesch doing his thing again. No score after 2.5. It is the bottom of the third inning. Estrada's been very impressive here to begin his day. Guy who in a short while has been able to strike out quite a few hitters, having come in with a rate of 16 strikeouts, 3 walks. He has 1 strikeout so far. He will deal with Skip Schumacher, who had an oblique strain at the end of spring training and then banged into the wall, and he's been working his way back from a inflamed shoulder. He is off to a .417 start in limited work. Had a 2-run triple in last night's game, and he is first up here in the third. Estrada with that very slow windup brings it, and a ground ball to Ramirez. Aramis across for out number 1. This is a rather unique delivery by Marco Estrada.
It really is. This is from the windup. He almost hesitates at the top of his delivery, and Ryan Renicky telling us before the game that he thinks that that is probably the reason that he can throw a 90 or 91 mile an hour fastball and appear to make it faster.
That thing zipped in there. 89 miles per hour, but he has what you called during the scouting report what a lot of hitters would say, and that is sneaky stuff. He's sneaky fast, and the 0-1 pitch is down. 91 from Estrada. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think the point, Joe, is that it's not necessarily how hard you throw, but how you deliver the ball. Can a hitter pick you up quickly? A guy, for instance, can throw 98 miles an hour, and if you can pick the ball up from the pitcher's hand, then you're going to have your cuts. You may foul the ball back, but you're going to have your good cuts. A guy could throw the ball 90 miles an hour and have it appear to be much faster because he hides the ball. That's what Estrada does.
Another foul back by Loesch, and the count 1-2. We actually hope to visit with Bob Gibson during the course of today's game.
And have him tell the story about the first time he went to Willie Mays' house in San Francisco. Have you ever heard that story?
Nope.
It is hilarious.
1 ball, 2 strikes as Loesch is up there trying to battle Estrada. You talked to Mike Matheny, and you could talk to any manager about it before the game, about organizational decisions and a way of thinking at the plate as that one bounces in there, about consciously trying to get the opponent's starting pitcher's pitch count up, even when in good hitting counts like 2-0, 3-1.
I've heard it 3 times from major league announcers on local broadcasts this week alone. It's a virus that is infecting Major League Baseball. That hitters should take 2-0, 3-1, 2-1 early in the game to drive a pitcher's pitch count up. And a little reminder, the best way to get a pitcher out of the game is to get hits and runs, not take 2-0 fastballs right down the pipe.
That's low, and this has been a pretty good at bat by Loesch. The count's full. The thinking is, there's Cardinal hitting coach Mark McGuire, the money is spent in the rotation and at the back end with at least the closer. That's low, and Loesch just coaxed a 1-out walk out of Estrada. So if you're going to do damage, you go against the weaker part of a team's pitching staff, and that is go against the long guy, go against the pre-setup relievers, and that's when you make your That's when you score your runs and get your hits, and that drives you crazy.
Yeah, it does, because the way you make your money for most hitters in Major League Baseball is get yourself a pitch where you know what's coming. And usually that's on a 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, or 3-1 count.
Here's a grounder to first, and it goes right through the first baseman, Gamble, and into right. Going first to third is Loesch, and that was what should have been a double play ball. Turns into first and third, one out for St. Louis here in the third. And it's an error on Gamble, his third already this season.
Yeah, this right through the wickets, and Kyle Loesch, who was going right to second base, doesn't realize. A lot of times a base runner, an experienced base runner, can tell by the crowd sound whether there's going to be a play on him at second base or not. So Loesch couldn't take the wide turn. He's going into second like he might have a play to take the shortstop out of the play, but ends up on third base.
And brings in John Jay, who's got a 7-game hitting streak alive and is working his way back from a mild right shoulder sprain. Had it injected, banged into an outfield wall, and he came back last night with 3 hits.
Yeah, Joe, you can't anticipate a double play, but it's pretty clear that had Gamble made that play, he steps on first, then you get Kyle Loesch in a rundown. It's an easy double play.
A check on for Kyle, who has stolen 3, has not been caught. So it's the defense that puts Estrada into this situation. A big error by Gamble, and now Jay could drive home the first run or runs of the day, and he's done just that. Base hit into right. Loesch scores for Kyle going to third. Throw by Hart cut off. Everybody's safe, and St. Louis on top 1-0. And John Jay has an 8-game hitting streak now as he bounces one through the right side.
You give major league teams a chance for 4 outs in an inning, maybe 5. You walk the pitcher, then the error, it's first and third, and John Jay finds the hole. Outstanding base running by Rafael Furcal to make it the third.
So Jay has RBI number 8 to go with his 2 home runs, and here's Matt Holliday, who would like to get in on some more hits. He's hitting .230. And he bats with runners at the corners, 1 out. Strike 1 from Estrada. Cardinals start the day 6 games over 500 at 13-7, 4 up on Cincinnati and Milwaukee. And now for Kyle, oven mitts are sweeping Major League Baseball.
You know what? I wonder why that's not illegal. It's an extension of the hand. What if he's sliding head first into a base and the extra part of the mitt allows him to touch the bag or grab the bag? Should be illegal, I think.
It's a different one than the one we saw in the hand of Weeks, so there's more than one in the stadium. Swing and a miss. Good pitch by Estrada, strike 2. Good hook from the Milwaukee right-hander, and the count 0-2. The Betty Crocker is a Major League Baseball sponsor.
Sarah Lee.
John Jay does not possess an oven mitt at first. The count 0-2, first and third, 1 out. Holiday set up, and now that one rides up and in, ball 1. See if Kenny can get his hands on one of those down in the dugout. See if he can take his little notes with one of those things in his hand. When nobody's looking, Ken. Here's a 1-2. Grounded to third, might be 2. Not hit hard, and because of that, another run.
Good play by John Jay at second base. doing what he can to disrupt Ricky Weeks. Some second basemen use the bag for protection. Watch how Weeks steps on second base, backs off, and yet Jay goes through the bag to take him out and allow Holiday a chance to make it to third. Good play.
Good base running by St. Louis in this third inning, including Furcal going first to third. Loesch before him going first to third, and that has produced 2 runs. Now it's Beltran and a grounder to first. Gamble has it. And the inning is over. The Cardinals get 2 runs. A big error by Gamble in the frame. Only 1 hit. It belongs to Jay, who also took out Weeks on the slide. 2-0 after 3 in St. Louis. Today's game is sponsored by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Moss. And by the new 2013 Taurus. St. Louis Arch, Busch Stadium, 3rd time around. A ballpark that opened in 2006. The Cardinals won it all that year when they beat Detroit in the World Series. As Braun fouls it out of play off to the right. Struck out his first time. After Braun, it's Aramis, Ramirez, and Corey Hart, the big 3 in this lineup against Loesch, who has a 2-0 lead. And they won it all last year and came almost literally out of nowhere.
10.5 back on August 25th. Went on to win their 11th World Series championship, the most in the National League.
That's out of play, strike 2. And there isn't anybody who watched this team play up until that point that thought that was even remotely possible.
No way.
Even the most diehard fan was fed up with watching this team play, kicking the ball around the infield, not getting a lot of hits, not pitching all that well, and then it kicked into gear as Atlanta fell apart, and you know the rest of the story. That's outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Beat the Phillies in the divisional series, all 5 games. They beat Milwaukee, and then it took all 7 to beat the Rangers in the World Series. That's on the inside corner, and strikeout number 2, and Braun is frustrated as he's the first out in the 4th.
Second strikeout, only 2 strikeouts for Loesch, and that inside fastball. We talked specifically with Matheny about that pitch. Ryan thought it was low, and it could have been.
Yeah, I think Ryan Braun has a legitimate argument with home plate umpire Lance Barksdale. He spins out of there, and he's out number 1. That's a strike to Aramis Ramirez. Hitting just .208 in his first year with Milwaukee. The guy who's had a lot of success against the Cardinals. That's into right center. Back is Jay, and this ball is gone off the top of the wall and out of the park for his 29th home run against the Cardinals in his career, and it's 2-1. Aramis Ramirez gets his 2nd as a Brewer, and the lead has been cut in half.
First home run of the year given up by Loesch. I didn't think that ball had a chance of getting out. Maybe hitting the wall, but it hits the top of the wall. Ramirez tremendously strong. 2nd home run of the year.
Now Corey Hart, capable of the same thing, takes a strike. Loesch trying to keep it in with body language, body English, whatever, and spins out of the pose after seeing that ball bounce off the, I guess, shrubbery out above the wall in right center field.
I mean, normally that's a June home run, but not an April home run. The ball does not carry as well in April as it does in June.
Here's a 1-1. Fooled on a changeup from Loesch in the count 1-2. Our party in the booth is being crashed. And I can read Bob Gibson's lips when he said, when you throw a ball over the middle, that's what happens. How many times you never went out and told Gibson that when he was out on the mound, did you?
I once went 5 years without going to the mound. What? 5 years. Johnny Keane, Red Shandy's, they used to try to encourage me to go to the mound. I said, you go out there, I'm not. You want to slow him down? You take a chance. I'm not putting up with that.
Counts 2 balls, 2 strikes on Corey Hart. Corey, his first time up, grounded out to short. After Corey, it's Matt Gamble. Brewers on the board on the home run by Ramirez, and the count now full 3-2. Hart has popped 6 home runs, second highest total in the National League. Waits for the 3-2 and hits it off the end of the bat into right. The park will hold that one as Beltran puts it away, 2 out. This MLB on Fox season, Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Clubs of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. To learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. With 2 out, nobody on, here's Gamble. Like to atone for that error in the bottom of the 3rd, and a breaking ball drops in for strike 1. One ball, 1 strike. We get the chance, we'll give you a weather update from games around the big leagues as it is raining seemingly all over. Somehow we've been able to dodge the raindrops here in St. Louis. It was supposed to be a washout weekend, and that hasn't been the case to this point. As the count goes to 1-2, Loesch. Ground ball right side. Schumacher, nice play to his left, and the inning is over. Home run by Aramis Ramirez, his 2nd of the season and 29th against the Cardinals in his career. Got it out into right center field. 2-1. Cardinals on top after 3.5 in St. Louis. Good game here in St. Louis, 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. David Freese first up, then Yadier Molina. Matt Carpenter against Marco Estrada, whose delivery is nothing like our guest in the booth, the great, and I mean great, one of the best ever, Bob Gibson. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. I listen to you guys all the time. I just wanted to get here one time so I could say, no, that's not true.
You listen to Tim and you sit back on your couch and say, what?
Really, Tim?
Yeah,
really?
he used to talk about it when we were in uniform for 20 years, and now for 32 years he's been doing it from his living room in Omaha.
The count's 0-2. David Freese watches one go outside. It'd be ridiculous for me to interview Bob Gibson. I want you to kind of take control of this thing, but I'll ask you the question he won't ask, and that is, how was it throwing to Tim McCarver all those years as catcher with the Cardinals?
I enjoyed it. The biggest reason is I didn't have to think a lot about what I wanted to do, because after the first inning or so, he was pretty much in tune with me. And the worst kind of game you can ever pitch is when you and the catcher is never in tune and you're shaking off and all that kind of stuff. When I shook, it was only because I was trying to trick the hitter. It wasn't because I was shaking him off.
Here's one deep into right center and gone off the bat of David Freese. Cardinals lead by 2 in just about the same spot. Ramirez went deep, and it's 3-1 as Freese hits number 5.
Between innings, Bob Gibson said, I don't care whether it's April or June. If you throw a ball down the middle of the plate, they're going to hit it, that ball down the middle of the plate. What does David Freese do?
Yeah, they really love that ball over the middle of the plate. Very seldom they swing and miss it.
And Estrada gives up the home run. 3rd hit he's allowed. Now Molina hits it hard off the glove of Ricky Weeks and into center.
Bob used to also chide management of the Cardinals, saying, why do you sign all those little guys? Why don't you sign those big guys? The only guys we face are those big, strong guys.
They still do it. They still do it. There's about 5 guys on this ball club that are about 5'5" and weigh 170 pounds. A bunch of them. I've never figured that out.
That was a base hit for Molina. No error on that hard hit ball. And here is Matt Carpenter, who hits it hard. Should be 2, but we're taking nothing for granted today. 2 out. 4.63.
I have teased that story about you going to Willie Mays' house for the first time with Bill White. You got to tell it exactly the way it was.
Well, Bill, I was a rookie, and Bill White had been playing with Mays, right? And he got traded to the Cardinals. And one day we were out in San Francisco. He says, "You want to go and meet Willie Mays?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, sure." And so we go out there, and back in those days, I wore my glasses all the time. I was only like 23 or 24 years old, and Mays didn't know that I had worn glasses. And so when Bill knocked on the door, Mays opened the door, and he looked past. He said, "Who's that?" He's got this high-pitched voice. And he said, "That's Gibson." He said, "Who?" He says, "Gibson." He said, "Man, you're going to kill somebody out there." I said, "You wear glasses?"
Here's a fly ball, and little did you know how effective that visit would be.
It was very effective.
We're going to keep him. He's not getting away. Freese goes deep into right center. It's 3-1 after 4 in St. Louis. Fifth inning of a 3-1 game. Back to the hill is Kyle Loesch with the bottom three in the lineup coming up for Milwaukee. That means Gonzalez. First pitch swinging. That ball's drilled into center and gone. A home run for Alex Gonzalez. And this is a one-run game. And like the great Bob Gibson once said many moons ago, when you throw it down the middle, they know what to do with it. And Gonzalez just rode it out to straightaway center. His 156th home run in his career as a shortstop, and not a big-bodied guy, but as you said earlier, Tim, he can thump it.
Well, it's down the middle again. 3 home runs right down the middle. What else you going to do with that, Bob?
See, that's the difference between the little bigger guys and those little guys. Little guys hit that ball just like that, and he runs back and catches it.
Here's a grounder foul off the bat of Kataris, and Alex Gonzalez has made this a one-run game again.
We're with the great Bob Gibson, and Bob, I was talking about pitch counts a couple of innings ago. I have got to say that of all the games I caught you, about 350 or so, I never thought once about your pitch count. I never knew at any part in the game about your pitch count, and I've got to believe you didn't either.
Yeah, I never thought about the pitch count. They kept up with the pitches. You knew how many you threw after the game was over, but they didn't talk about it during the game. I remember one game I threw 196 pitches. I knew it after the game, but I pitched 14 innings.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
196.
He used to pitch 140 pitches. And look, in 1968, the great year with the 1.12 ERA, he had 34 starts and 28 complete games, along with 13 shutouts. He had 6 games out of 34 that he did not go the distance, and I think 3 of those you went through the 7th inning. I think.
Yeah, usually when they took me out, it was for a pinch hitter. It wasn't because I got, beat and taking me out of the ball game. And sometimes they pinch hit for me, and guys should not have been pitch hitting
yeah,
for me.
You could hit too. I mean, come on.
You hated that as much as anything.
Oh, I really hated that. One time Maxville hit for me. Oh.
Well, that's because you could hit. You could run the bases, too. You had about 9 stolen bases, I think, in 67, something like that.
Yeah, I think altogether I had right around 50. But they used to play behind me when there were 2 outs, and I'd always run. I just run.
Pitch is outside. Kataris struck out on a changeup. That's strikeout number 3 for Loesch. 1 out here in the 5th. Home run by Gonzalez. It's a 3-2 game, and the count's 2-1 on Estrada. Do you like, then, Bob, what's going on in Major League Baseball with such a reliance on the clicker and pitch counts and limiting these young pitchers?
I really don't like that, because the pitchers get to rely on somebody taking them out when they get to a certain number of pitches, and I just don't think that's a good idea.
A lot of young pitchers can't pitch out of trouble.
Yeah,
because they never have a chance to.
Yeah, and by the same token, there's another thing they do, is that they control the game from the bench. And there comes a time when you need to make a decision, and you can't make the decision because you're looking in the bench to see what they want you to do. That's not good.
That's something Don Zimmer told Tim and me back in New York years ago, when he said there's such a reliance on the game being called from the dugout that when these guys are on the bases, it's why base running is so bad, because a lot of that's supposed to be instinct, and guys don't have instincts anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
You were a pitching coach for the Atlanta Braves. Was that a good experience for you, or a frustrating? Because I would imagine guys couldn't do what came naturally to you.
Well, it was frustrating, but not because they couldn't do what I did. It's because they couldn't do what they were capable of doing, and I couldn't understand that. I thought that they were capable of doing a little bit better, and I think a lot of them were. And that would frustrate me, but I never did expect anybody to do what I did.
Did you watch the Cardinal postseason last year?
I was here.
It was unforgettable, wasn't it?
I saw a game that was the best game I ever saw in my life. And when we
Game 6?
Yes. And the funniest thing about it, in the 7th inning, I guess it was the 7th inning, after they scored, I said, we can't win this game. And I left the ballpark. But I got back to the hotel, which is right across the street. I got back there before the inning started. We tied it up again. I wanted to come back. And that was the most exciting game I ever saw.
You know what I love about what you just said a couple of times? The Cardinals have done a very good job of keeping you, Lou Brock, certainly Red Schoendienst, who's here every day. Whitey's now back in the fold. Ozzy's come back in the fold. Did Matheny's the manager? That stress is gone. You are a Cardinal for life.
These new Cardinal owners, and I say new, they're not new anymore. They have done a terrific job in keeping us involved. Me and Lou and Red and Ozzy and Whitey. They keep us involved, and I do feel that I'm a part of the ball club.
Here is a walk to Ricky Weeks, and part of the ball club. I know you go down to spring training and talk to some of these
I
guys.
go to spring training. I don't say a lot unless they ask me, and then when they ask me, they can't shut me up. But I don't try to teach. What I do is make myself available. When there's some young pitchers that want to ask me questions, I'm there. And you find that the hitters actually ask you more questions than the pitchers.
Jack Buck, Joe's dad, said that you were the best athlete that he had ever seen, and I concur with that. And as an example of that, in 1958, you played for the Globetrotters. And the coach wouldn't let you shoot, right?
Well, yeah, I thought I was there because I could score. And Meadowlark, was playing in the center, and he said to Bob, when you're playing, we like to work the figure eight. Throw the ball in the Meadowlark. And a couple of times I'm out there and there's nobody guarding me, right? I shoot. 2 points. Shoot again. He takes me out. And he says, Bob, you need to throw the ball in the Meadowlark. I said, but there's nobody guarding me. He says, Bob, throw the ball in the Meadowlark. I said, oh, okay.
Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, a former Harlem Globetrotter, and that great delivery. Nobody better. Bob Gibson with us in the booth in St. Louis, halfway through it. Home run in the inning by Gonzalez. It's 3-2 Cardinals into the bottom of the 5th. Kyle Loesch, in his second plate appearance, he coaxed an important walk back in the 3rd inning with 1 out. He went first to third on a ball hit by Furcal that was missed by Gamble at first, and the Cardinals ended up producing 2 runs in that frame. It's a 3-2 Cardinal lead, and Loesch is the first out here in the 5th. Gamble will put this one away, and that is out number 1. And as we continue here in the 5th, Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Chevrolet. Proud to support youth baseball in cities and towns across the country. Brings in the leadoff man for Call, who is 0 for 2, but did reach on an error, scored a run. Estrada could be on top in this game if not for that error by Gamble back in the 2-run 3rd. Breaking ball drops in, strike 1. Nice to see Bob Gibson, who really looks great.
He does. Looks like he's 50 years old.
He's been through some health issues, and you know better than I, there's not much that's going to slow him down. Pitch is low in the count, 1-1.
Irrepressible.
76 years old.
That's right.
Here's a 1-1 with 1 out, nobody on, and a fly ball into center. Gomez back to grab it. 2 out.
Well, I think both pitchers today working Gibson-esque. They're working fast and throwing strikes.
His delivery, we've looked a lot at Marco Estrada and his delivery in this game. That just the arms and the fluid delivery that Bob Gibson had, and then the violence that came out of his right hand.
And the violence caused the worst follow-through imaginable. He had a horrible follow-through, and he won 9 Gold Gloves. Now think about that. That's how good an athlete he was. Often he would throw the ball so hard, particularly to the outside part of the plate, that his back would be to the hitter. He'd end up with his back to the hitter. How he got his body turned around enough to field the balls that he fielded or on bunt plays, I'll never know. Just extraordinary instincts.
Jay has a single, an RBI. He's at the plate with a 1-1 count. As we play here in the bottom of the 5th. And Estrada is ready with another. Broken bat. Estrada off his leg, and a chance for Ramirez. Too late. And just as we talked about it, there's a pitcher who had his back turned to home plate and couldn't get around to make the play.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is a great point. Watch Estrada when he lets go of the ball. His back is facing the hitter. It hits him on the back of the left shin, bounces toward Ramirez, who made a very good play in trying to get Jay, but an infield hit for John Jay.
And it brings in Matt Holliday, who is 0 for 2 with an RBI bounce out. Runner at first, 2 out, 1-run game here in the 5th. And a check on Jay, who has stolen 2, been caught once. Brewers in the 6th inning will have the heart of their lineup against Kyle Lohse, Braun, Ramirez, and Corey Hart. Lohse has allowed 2 home runs in this game. That's a little closer, but safe is John Jay. Marco Estrada ready with another. A strike over the outside part, either on the pitch or the swing, and a count 0-1. Cardinals have a different look to their lineup when Berkman is healthy. Typically, Berkman will slide into that cleanup spot, but it's been Beltran. Count still 0-1 on Holliday. Matt, who for some reason has had a lot of success hitting against Brewer pitching in his days with the Rockies, now the Cardinals, takes inside, a ball and a strike. Career .345 hitter against Brewer pitching. Guitarist flashes the signs, and here comes a 1-1. Instead, a check on John Jay. Attention for John Jay. The Cardinals and Matheny early in spring training said, we're going to let him run. And he has taken that aggressive approach into the start of the season. Counts 1-1. Holliday waits. Runner doesn't go on a fly ball into right. And it's a 3-2 game after 5.
We talked about the legendary Jack Buck, and there is Jack Buck, who said Bob Gibson was the best athlete ever.
You're watching Fox Sports, home of the NLCS and the World Series. Today's game presented by Chevrolet is sponsored by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And by Michelin, a better way forward. Hope the rain stays away as we get into the 6th inning, and the big bats coming up for the Brewers, and that starts with Ryan Braun, who has struck out twice. Braun, then Ramirez, then Corey Hart. Brewers have home runs today from Ramirez and Gonzalez. Here's a foul right side. Carpenter tiptoeing after it, and he makes the catch 1 out. Give you our Jeep game summary as we work here in the 6th inning. Brewers have the 2 solo home runs. The Cardinals 2 runs in the 3rd. Thanks to an error, and David Freese, who likes to hit home runs on Fox, hit a home run into right center his last time up. So a 3-2 game, 6th inning, and the batter is Ramirez. Aramis homered, just fought one off almost and muscled one over the wall in right center. Strike 1 his last time up. Former Pirate, longtime Cub, good changeup, strike 2.
I think that's one of the things that has changed over the last several decades in baseball is the power hitting of hitters the other way. It used to be a rarity when a right-handed hitter or a left-handed hitter would hit the ball out the other way. But now it seems to be, of course, during the steroid era, it became a thing, a normal thing because of the enhanced strength of the particular hitters.
Here's a base hit into center off the bat of Ramirez, and he's on with 1 out for Corey Hart, who can hit a ball as far as anybody can in Major League Baseball. He has hit 6 out, tying run at first, 1 away here in the 6th.
It has not been proven, but I think ultimately it will be proven that the air is thinner now. There have been climactic changes over the last 50 years in the world, and I think that's one of the reasons that balls are carrying much better now than I remember. You know, the ball that Ramirez hit out, the ball that Freese hit out, I didn't think either one was going to be a home run, and yet they made it.
So that's your inconvenient truth about Major
Well, I
League
think they're going to find that out one of these days. Yes, I do. That's a theory, but we'll see. Most theories.
1 on, 1 out. No balls, 1 strike. We're going to get our director Bill Webb on that.
He'd like that.
Here's a shot into left center field. This ball is over the head of Holiday. Ramirez digs to third. They are going to hold him there. Second and third on a double by Corey Hart that was just tattooed over the head of Holiday. Second and third, 1 out.
And that's why Ed Cedar had to wait before he held up Aramis Ramirez. This ball hit so hard, it didn't have a lot of hang time. Holiday got back, and third base coach Ed Cedar had to leave the coaching box as Aramis Ramirez, who is not a fast runner, slows down around second. And now he picks up the coach, who brings him around third and then holds him. But Cedar was about halfway between third and home and put up the stop sign late.
With Loesch on the mound, it reminds me, and I bet you, of what Mike Matheny, the Cardinal manager, talked about before the game. Even last year, Loesch, who had a good year numbers-wise, would have that 1 inning that just was his undoing, and he said we send Molina out to try and slow him down, and Molina just got back from a visit. Second and third, 1 out. Here's a fly ball into shallow right on a changeup. Beltran's got a great arm. Ramirez will be held at third, 2 out. Good pitch on a changeup, and that fooled Gamble enough, and Beltran, well, he just showed you what he can do. That's about as good as it gets.
Perfect. Ramirez would have been out by 10 feet had he tried to come home.
Former center fielder, now in right. He certainly has the arm for that. Alex Gonzalez will bat. And again, Molina goes out to the mound to talk to the veteran as the right-hander Victor Marte gets ready in case he's needed here in the 6th. Gonzalez homered his last time up. Big chance for the Brewers here. Second and third, 2 out. Ball 1. Last time up into center. Over the wall and on to the grass to make it 3-2, and it's still 3-2 as Gonzalez could put Milwaukee on top. Here comes a 1-0 from Loesch. And they are being careful with Gonzalez. First base open. The left-handed hitting Kataris on deck.
Mike Matheny communicating with Yadier Molina.
A little high and tight. Nothing straight out of the hand of Loesch during this at bat. That's ball 3.
3 straight sliders to Gonzalez. I think he'll get another one here. I don't think he'll get a fastball.
Here's a 3-0.
No, he
and
did.
We'll load him up. That fastball rode up and in, and the bases are loaded. It's up to Kataris. Third walk, which equals the number that Loesch actually betters the number that Loesch had coming into this game. 3-0 record, an ERA under 1. He had walked only 2. He's walked 3. This one basically intentionally, it looked like, to load the bases for Kataris. George has a hit and a strikeout. Way out in front on that change. Strike 1. Brewers, who lost here last night 13-1, taking on the first place Cardinals with a chance here in the 6th. Here's the 0-1. That floats up and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. And again, this is the 3rd visit of the inning from Yadier Molina to Kyle Loesch.
I think the one guy responsible for making Mike Matheny's first year in the major league so comfortable is Yadier Molina.
It's a great point, especially without Dave Duncan around.
Yeah, right.
Bases loaded, 2 out, and a 1-1 pitch. Ball 2. There it is. Ramirez, Hart, Gonzalez on the bases with the matchup of Kataris and Loesch, who has to throw a strike. Kataris has got some pop, and now Molina calls time and wants to go through the signs again. George has already hit 3 home runs this season, driven in 8. No action for the Brewers in their bullpen. The pitcher Estrada on deck. That floats up and away, 3-1.
Kataris looking for something inside, looking for something to drive here on a 3-1 count.
With the bases loaded, Kataris walks, and that wasn't close. This game is tied on the 2nd walk of the inning, and 4th of the game handed out by Kyle Loesch. And now with nobody in the bullpen, because the bullpen was worked so hard last night in that 13-1 loss. Even in a tie game 6th inning with the bases loaded, 2 out, Estrada comes to the plate. Strike 1.
That's a lot of confidence in Estrada, shown by Ron Renicky. The right-hander Mike McClendon is not available today for the Brewers.
Strike 2. They do have Ferris, Dillard, Lowe, K-Rod. They have their closer Axford, and they have Parra, who we said the left-hander. The only left-hander in the bullpen is available for an inning at most.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think this is going too long with your starter. I think you've got to pinch hit in this situation.
Instead, it's a strikeout in that key spot, and the Brewers get only 1. A hit by Ramirez started it. A double. Back-to-back walks. 3-3 after 5.5 in St. Louis.
Matt Vasgersian at the MLB Network studios. Last night in San Francisco, the Giants fell to San Diego, but Pablo Sandoval went 1 for 4, extending his franchise record hitting streak to open a season to 20 games. And last night in the Bronx, the Yankees walked off the Tigers on a passed ball in the bottom of the ninth. Derek Jeter scoring the game winner. New York's now won 11 of 16 since their 0-3 start. If you call yourself a sportsman, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Let's send you back to Tim and Joe in St. Louis.
All right, Matt, thank you. In the AL East, as you look at Pablo Sandoval and his start, 20-game hit streak to start the season. That's the longest in the great history of the Giants, that franchise that started in New York. The 10th longest in Major League Baseball history since 1921. The AL East led by Tampa Bay, a game over Baltimore, game and a half over New York at the start of the day. Cleveland leads the Central. Texas leads by a nice margin in the AL West. The Washington Nationals lead the NL East. The Cardinals lead the Central, and the Dodgers and Matt Kemp, who's putting together a first month that is just stunning, is putting the Dodgers on top in the NL West.
Andre Ethier leading the National League in RBIs. The only thing keeping Kemp away from being a Triple Crown winner in the month of April
is his teammate.
Yeah.
And look at those numbers.
Man.
452 with 10 home runs. He's disappointed in his stolen base total so far, but wow, that's rocketed. Foul into the middle deck off the bat of Beltran for a 1-1 count.
I think the one thing to keep in mind, if Ron Renicky does not pinch hit for Marco Estrada with the bases loaded in the 6th inning, then I don't think the bullpen can be up and throwing, and there are guys that are out there stretching right now. In other words, if the Cardinals get a runner on or two to have the bullpen up, then that's almost saying that, well, I didn't pinch hit for him, so you're committed through 6 innings at least, maybe 7.
You thought it was going too long with Estrada in that spot.
I think so.
You got a pitcher on the ropes, bases loaded. You just tied it with back-to-back walks, and you give him an easy out of the inning.
Yeah.
The 2-2 pitch. High, full count. And as you said, if Estrada goes out now and has a rough start to this 6th inning, then it's a double loss that way for Ron Renicky.
That's right. That's right.
Beltran spoils it. The count stays full. Freeze on deck. 3-2 pitch is outside, a leadoff walk. And that will make Ron Renicky's stomach turn. MLB Fan Cave is back this year. 9 cave dwellers will compete to remain in the cave until the final pitch of the World Series. Some of baseball's biggest stars are scheduled to visit and appear in the Fan Cave videos, just like last week when Pablo Sandoval, we just showed you, and Sergio Romo hung out with fans all over New York. Check out all the latest cave happenings at MLBFancave.com. Follow at MLB Fan Cave on Twitter and like MLB Fan Cave on Facebook. Leadoff walk, no action in the bullpen, and Beltran is driven back to the bag.
Well, it's only natural, a panda in a fan cave.
And if you haven't gone there and seen what Major League Baseball has done with that fan cave,
it's fun.
Whether it's in person in New York or it's online at MLBFancave.com, you should. You get to see the side of players that you don't usually see. And they are lined up, can't get enough of going there in Manhattan. Zepchinski, the left-hander. Marte, the right-hander, up for the Cardinals as ball 1 rides inside on Freeze. Estrada checks on Beltran. How about the offseason, Ken Rosenthal, for David Freeze after becoming a local hero last October?
Well, Joe, it was quite busy, but I asked him about that today, if it took away from his work at all, and he said no. I knew my priorities. I knew 2012 was coming sooner than later.
He's jammed here. Good pitch by Estrada, and Corey Hart puts it away. Beltran tags, does not try to advance. 1 out. Molina steps to the plate. He's 2 for 2. Talked about Yadier Molina receiving that Gold Glove award leading into the previous weekend. Ivan Rodriguez, 13-time Gold Glove award winner with his career. He officially hung it up, retiring with the Texas Rangers, and now Molina's won 4 straight, and he is easily the best defensive catcher in the game.
Oh yeah. I remember Joe Torre's line about the Gold Glove. He said he won the Gold Glove in 1965 and used it in 1966. That has not happened to Yadi, however.
He just gets better with age and was rewarded with a contract extension. We talked about that with Ken Rosenthal earlier in the season, and in my opinion, after Albert Pujols left via free agency, it was imperative for the Cardinal ownership group, Kenny, to lock up Molina and show these fans that they were going to reinvest in this ball club.
There's no question, Joe.
Here's a shot into left. Back at the wall. Molina's gone deep. 2-run home run, and the Cardinals on top 5-3 is on cue. Yadier Molina rides one out. Home run number 4 of the season.
Talked about this before. A lot of people are under the impression that a pitch down in the strike zone is not a hanger. Well, this one was a hanger. It just stayed there for Molina to put the Cardinals back on top.
Brings in Matt Carpenter. 1 out in the inning, and Carpenter takes a breaking ball for a strike. Kenny, we were talking to you about the extension for Molina, and appears to be a good business move for this organization. Here's the 0-1, a foul backing out of play. Kenny?
Joe, there's no question that they had to do that. He is such a big part of what they do, not only defensively, but we're seeing today also offensively. He actually seems to be getting better at the plate. And here's a guy that has been their MVP over the years, outside of Pujols, of course, but just a huge part.
Here's a shot into the gap in right center field. Cut off by Gomez. The throw to second base, it's still a double. And now, after leaving Estrada in to bat with the bases loaded, Ron Renicky at some point here is going to have to get that bullpen active in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, you know that the bullpen gave up the majority of the 13 runs scored by the Cardinals last night. But when you have a chance to take a lead, and as the Brewers did in the 6th inning with the bases loaded, even though there were 2 outs, I think you've got to pinch hit in that situation.
Estrada's pitched pretty well up to this point. He issued the leadoff walk. Got freeze. Cameron Lowe will get loose. Molina hit the 2-run home run. Now a double by Carpenter, and the batter is Schumacher with Eric Komatsu on deck. Here's a pitch in the dirt. Ball 1.
Also, Joe, if you do pinch hit in that situation, then you've given Estrada a chance to only be able to win the game, and he's pitched well enough to do that.
Here's a 1-0. Schumacher takes a strike on the outside corner. A ball and a strike. Skip is 0 for 2. Cameron Lowe gets loose. Estrada tries to find the second out of the inning with Schumacher at the plate. Fly ball into center will send Gomez back. Gets himself in a position to throw, but Carpenter will tag and make it to third easily. He's there with 2 out.
If young viewers who are watching this game want to know how to play center field, and you live in the Milwaukee area, go watch Carlos Gomez play center field. There are none better in the game. None. As Joe said, he backs up. Now he comes forward to get in a good throwing position. Everything he does defensively is right on target.
Now visit from the pitching coach. Rick Kranitz as the Cardinals called back Komatsu, and they will send Descalso to the plate to bat for Loesch. His day is over, and now Kyle Loesch can only be the winner. He goes 6 today. He allowed 3 runs on 6 hits. He did walk 4, struck out 5. And his biggest strikeout was his last strikeout when he got Marco Estrada with the bases loaded in the top of this inning to end the threat. Runner at third, 2 out. Descalso, who was such a big part of the Cardinal World Championship last year, actually in the top 5 voting for Gold Glove at third base. That's how well he played over there, in relief of the injured David Freese during parts of the season last year. He can play second base, can play short. Good hitter off the bench. Took a strike, and now the next from Estrada. Strike 2. Descalso tried to hold up, could not. The inning is over, but the Cardinals have regained the lead. Yadier Molina rode one out into left. Got a curtain call. Hugged his starter, who's in line for the win. We go to the 7th, 5-3 St. Louis. Back after this. Yadier Molina does his job game in and game out behind the plate, at the plate, and with the bat in his hands. His home run has put the Cardinals on top 5-3 as we go to the 7th. Victor Marte, big right-hander, is into the game, and he throws hard, as you can see. Strike 1 on Ricky Weeks. Top of the order for the Brewers, and they need to get after it if they want to avoid losing the first 2 games of this series. Weeks, then Gomez, then Braun against Marte. Here's an 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. MLB on Fox is presented by Chevrolet. Glad they're with us again as one of our major sponsors for the Saturday game of the week, and MLB on Fox in general. 1 ball, 1 strike. Weeks trying to get hot. Grounds one foul outside third, strike 2. Cardinals have some new faces out in their bullpen. Victor Marte is one of them. J.C. Romero, who you may know from the Twins or the Phillies, a left-hander. Closer is Jason Mott, who ended the year as the closer, even though Tony La Russa would never say he was the closer. Here is a strike 3 call over the outside part on the first breaking ball from Marte, and that throws Weeks 1 out.
Boy, that was a tight slider from Marte to get Ricky Weeks. First time the Cardinals have gotten Ricky today. Good slider right on the outside corner.
Brings in Gomez. Carlos is 0 for 3, but he came into this game as a hot hitter. Marte, who has bounced around, pitched in Japan for a few years, hits the outside corner, strike 1. And I'll say this, both pitchers have benefited from the strike zone of Lance Barksdale here today. He has not been stingy with strikes,
particularly outside or inside.
Here's an 0-1. Off the end of the bat into center, and coming to get it is John Jay. 2 out. The only way to speed up a game, in my opinion, is have home plate umpires call strikes. The in-game box score brought to you by Lexus. For the Brewers, Weeks has a hit. Home run by Ramirez and Gonzalez for 2 of the 3 runs. The other RBI belongs to Kataris on a bases-loaded walk. Braun is at the plate, 2 out, nobody on. Strike 1. Cardinals signed a longtime big leaguer, Scott Linebrink, a right-hander who was injured right at the end of spring training. Almost immediately after being added to the roster, he had an impingement in his shoulder, so he's working that out, and that allowed a guy like Marte a chance after pitching in Memphis last year to be with the big team.
31 saves in the PCL last year.
Good breaking ball, strike two.
And he's proven that slider is nasty. Got Ricky Weeks on the slider, also Gomez, and now tough pitch to Ryan Braun.
The big guy, he's 6'2", 255, 31-year-old right-hander. As Tim said, a big year last year. Prior to that was with the Royals. The 0-2. Outside. Ball one. Pitched in Hiroshima for 3 years. Originally part of the Royals organization. And he has a 1-ball, 2-strike count on Ryan Braun, the reigning MVP. Fastball is foul. We're in the top of the 7th. Brewers have had one lead in this game, actually have never led. They trailed 2-0 in the 3rd, got their first run in the 4th, tied it in the 6th. The Cardinals came right back with 2 in the bottom half of the 6th on the home run by Molina. Braun's ready, so's Marte, and a 1-2 pitch. Struck him out. 2 strikeouts in the inning, and it's time to stretch. An impressive inning for the right-hander Victor Marte. Beautiful day in St. Louis. 72 degrees, 5-3 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Today's game is sponsored by Prudential. Prudential, bring your challenges. And by the makers of Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of MLB. Well played, snappy game into the bottom of the 7th inning, and a nice moment for my partner Tim McCarver during the break as Cameron Lowe, the hard-throwing right-hander, takes over for Estrada. Marco pitched pretty well, went 6, allowed 5 runs on 7 hits. 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, a home run allowed, actually 2 of them, 1 to Molina, 1 to David Freese, and here is Furcal, top of the order against Cameron Lowe. Bottom of the 7th, 5-3 St. Louis. Ball 1, and that nice moment was a recognition on the board here. A nice ovation from the crowd for your upcoming induction into baseball's Hall of Fame as a Ford C. Frick Award winner. Baseball's broadcasting wing. Here's a pitch down, 2-0.
That was very, very nice, and it's very, very nice to follow Bob Uecker, who was inducted. Bob and I were teammates back in 1964 and 5, and Bob inducted into the Ford C. Frick wing 9 years ago in Cooperstown.
Here's a fly ball into center. See Gomez, and that's how good he is. Take his eye off the ball, check the wall, see where he was, relocate, and grab it for out number 1. Just for a brief split second, took his eye off the ball, checked the wall, and then this is the tail end of it, grabbing it for out number 1. I can't tell you how good Bob Uecker looks. I got to walk in, Steve, and I got to walk in today to the bowl. Why not? He doesn't work. He just sits back and stares off into Never Never Land.
There he is, Mr. Baseball. Funniest man I have ever met.
And I don't know the numbers, but he was at least top 5 in appearances for Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show.
I think 82 appearances on the Tonight Show.
Here's a line drive foul.
How about the Hall of Fames he represents?
Okay, he's in baseballs for Ford C. Frick, the Radio Hall of Fame, which is a huge honor, by the way. The National Sportscasters and Sports Writers, the WWE Hall of Fame, Wisconsin Meat Industry Hall of Fame, and the National Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Oh, he's so funny.
Here's the 0-2. Down and away. And a former catcher with this Cardinal organization.
In 1964, we won the pennant on the last day of the season. 3 days later, as Bob Uecker is shagging flies in left field, at the old Busch Stadium at Grand and Dodier.
Breaking ball is grounded under the glove of Ramirez and into left for a base hit. Jay's third hit in a row, and I guess his shoulder is feeling just fine. 1 on, 1 out.
I should say so. 3 for 4 on the day. But anyway, Bob Cuban was playing on the field, and the stadium was such that they didn't have a place for the band. They had to put him on the field, so the band took a break. Euchre goes over, picks up the tuba, and starts shagging with the tuba. After we beat the Yankees in 7 games, Bob Euchre received a bill from the Cardinals for $216 for a dented tuba. And that is a true story.
So he's running around the outfield. There it is. There's the picture right there.
Well, that tuba looks a lot better before he started shagging in it. Today he told Rick
Tell
Hummel.
people what shagging means.
Shagging means
Austin Powers.
Shag.
Here's a fly ball back and out of play off the bat of Holiday.
Oh, no, it doesn't mean that. It means catching fly balls and ground balls in the outfield before the game. So he dropped his glove, picked up the tuba, and today told Rick Hummel in the Post-Dispatch that the reason for the $216 in the dents, he said, not all of them went in the hole.
Here comes the 0-1. Swing and a miss by Holiday, who's hitless on the day, has an RBI in the count 0-2.
In fact, this is Bob's, I believe it's his 41st year doing the Milwaukee Brewers, his beloved Milwaukee Brewers. And talk about legends, there are none more legendary than Euchre.
And he knows how to squeeze a lot out of life, whether it's fishing, playing golf, whatever it is.
He is wonderful.
There's strike 3 calling over the inside corner at the knees. And now it's Holiday who's a bit upset with the strike zone of the home plate umpire, but it's been big all day, and Holiday goes back to the bench shaking his head. 2 out. Here's Beltran, who walked and scored on the home run by Molina last inning. Carlos is struck out, grounded out, then that walk. He's tied for 3rd in the National League with his 5 home runs. His teammate David Freese tied him when he went deep back in the 4th. Beltran's biggest, he had 2 big connections to the Cardinals prior to signing with them in the offseason on a 2-year deal after ending last year with the Giants. Here is a pitch low and no chance for Kotaris. Stolen base, John Jay, his 3rd.
John Jay with a running lead. It's very difficult when you know a runner has a good jump if you're a left-handed hitter, because you can't see the jump. You feel it. And that's what Beltran did, and that's why he took that pitch.
Here comes a 1-0. Fouled left side, and that will get out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at second, 2 out. A hit in the inning by John Jay. And Cameron Lowe trying to keep it a 2-run game. That's a slow roller. If it's fair, it's a hit. It's foul, and it's strike 2. Cardinals have Mitchell Boggs, a right-hander who has a renewed sense of confidence getting ready in the bullpen. A hard thrower who has blossomed into the primary setup man for Jason Mott. While we have a minute, we'll give you the Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof stat. The Cardinals are batting in this 7th inning. And through 20 games, here's where the Cardinals rank compared to last season. And the Cardinals #1 in average in the National League at the start of the day, hitting .277 as a group. That's inside, and just as the Cardinals can count on their offense, you can count on Just for Men Auto Stop for foolproof results.
And yet the Cardinals on this last road trip lose 3 games, scoring 4 runs. They were shut out in Pittsburgh, and then scored 2 runs in 2 games against the Cubs, losing 3-2 in both games.
Beltran with a runner in scoring position. That's Jay. 2-2 pitch. Popped up. In comes Ryan Braun, and that will send us into the 8th. Cardinals have stranded 5. Brewers have stranded 6. They'll bat in the 8th, down by 2. Mitchell Boggs comes into the game as we go into the 8th inning. Aramis Ramirez, Corey Hart, and then Matt Gamble coming up. We remind you to tune in tomorrow on your regional sports network, Fox Sports Wisconsin or Fox Sports Midwest, for the final game of this series. Coverage starts at 12:30 p.m. Central. So either Fox Sports Wisconsin, Fox Sports Midwest, 12:30. You can see the end of this series. And dealing with a broken bat and a backhanded stop on a ground ball is David Freese, 1 out. And Ramirez is 2 for 4 on the day with a homer, a base hit, a run scored again. And the charter will be a little lighter headed home with 1 bat to be left here broken in St. Louis that belonged to Aramis Ramirez. Here's Corey Hart. Boggs, Tim's got great stuff and trying to harness it and find the right role. And that's happened with Mike Matheny, who has said, I believe in you and I like your stuff and you're going to get the ball in the 8th.
That's what he told him all spring. And when that happens, you know, those words mean a lot. They certainly have to Mitchell Boggs, and he's pitching with a lot more confidence now. You can almost see it from talking to the Cardinals, talking to Yadi Molina.
Pours that one in at 95, and it's 0-2. Zepchinski, the left-hander, is getting loose with Gamble on deck.
Plus, from a mechanical standpoint, he's come up with a splitter, and it's been a good pitch for him so far this year.
How about what he's done with the razor? Here's a pitch in the dirt, 1-2. He has mowed a little track on his chin. Otherwise, a full beard on the face of Mitchell Boggs. Whatever gets you into, looks like Dick Tidrow. How about that call?
Dr. Dirt was Dick Tidrow's nickname.
Here comes a 1-2.
Dick Tidrow doing a terrific job for the San Francisco Giants.
Jose Veras, the former Yankee and right-hander, getting loose for the Brewers.
Dick Tidrow's been with the Giants for about 15 years and has done a terrific job scouting for San Francisco.
The 2-2. And a little floater out to Schumacher, 2 out. Good pitch, jammed him. And only Brian Biederman in our production truck can come up with junk such as this. Stash Panache, Raleigh Fingers with the handlebar mustache, the late Rod Beck, Eddie Murray, the Goose, Don Mattingly. Don't worry, Tim, your telestrator's not even in. It wasn't even on the air.
Oh,
what you just did.
Oh, okay.
Telestrator from, actually, Fred Flintstone worked on that thing.
Well, I was telestrating Raleigh Fingers, and the reason I did was that Charlie Finley back in 1972 paid Catfish Hunter $300 to grow a mustache. So all the other players wanted to get involved. So he gave them all $300 to grow mustaches, and they became the Mustache Group and won 3 world championships in a row. Not because they wore mustaches, but because they were good. But they were different, that team.
And they didn't all exactly get along.
No. Used to have fights on planes in the clubhouses.
But they won.
Blue Moon Odom and Blue Moon Odom, and I can't think of the other fellow who was on flight in the plane. Dick Williams tried to break them apart, and Reggie Jackson said, neither one of them are going to help us anyway.
Here's a swing and a miss, and Boggs has an uneventful 8th. We'll take a quick break. Bottom of the 8th rolls in. Cardinals bat up by 2.
We hope you join us tonight for NASCAR on Fox Primetime. Denny Hamlin trying for his 3rd win of the season, and Jimmy Johnson named by Forbes magazine as America's most influential athlete earlier this week, edging out Tim Tebow, looking for his 1st win of the year. Just some of the drivers you'll see. We hope you tune in tonight at 7 Eastern.
All right, Chris, you're the most influential NASCAR host in my world, certainly, and it's good to see Chris. And we'll be watching tonight from Richmond as Jose Veras takes over the right-hander as we go into the bottom of the 8th inning. Cardinals will bat. That means Freese, Molina, Carpenter. Freese is homered in this game, his 5th of the season. He started the day hitting .348. That was good for 5th in the National League. Tied for 10th in home runs. He's better than that now. And 4th in RBIs with 19. He's got 20 as he digs in here to start the 8th. Cardinals leading 5-3. Scoreless inning put up by Cameron Lowe. 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Third pitcher of the day is Veras. Breaking ball, line drive caught by Gonzalez. 1 out. Why don't we take a look as Molina walks in at the home runs today. Ramirez went deep. Freese went deep, almost in the same spot. Then Gonzalez straight away center field, and Molina with the Cardinals on top in the bottom of the 6th. Home runs make your offense stronger, and that's brought to you by Mazda. Better, stronger, smarter. With 1 out, here is Molina, and there's strike 1. With 1 out and the bases empty, 20 minutes after 2 o'clock in the Central Time Zone, Molina hits one off the glove and into center field. I believe Veras got a piece of that. Either way, it's the 4th hit of the day for Yadier Molina. 3 singles and a home run, and it's 1 on, 1 out in the 8th.
That's a pitch early in his career with which he was jammed. But we'll check it out. Did Veras get a piece of it?
No, not even
It's
close.
all right. That ball, Molina strong enough to carry it just by Ricky Weeks for his 4th hit.
Carpenter is coming off a double his last time up, 1 for 3, hitting .250 on the year. Bunts, third base side foul.
Steve Horn asking Ron Renicky, the manager of the Brewers, who the best pitcher in his bullpen was, best right-handed pitcher against left-handed hitters, and he said Jose Veras. Reason for that is he has a good splitter and throws that pitch very effectively.
Estrada went 6, 5 runs on 7 hits. Low, now Veras. And the Brewers, winners of the Central Division a year ago, staring at a 9-12 start after losing that big piece, Prince Fielder, to the Tigers over the offseason. This is a very different Milwaukee team. And you could kind of sense that the way Ron Renicky talked before the game. Not saying that he's disappointed, but knowing that the tenor of that ball club in the clubhouse is different without 9 guys from a year ago. That takes the mask off the face of Kataris. And a lot of the guys were the personalities in the clubhouse for the Brewers, and it wasn't just Prince Fielder. Guys like Craig Counsell and LaTroy Hawkins and some of the players they lost after 2011.
That allowed the Brewers to win 96 games. It's a franchise record.
Their first divisional title, as I mentioned, since 1982, and that's when they were in the American League and ended up managed by Harvey Keene in the World Series here in St. Louis, right across the street at Busch Stadium when that World Series ended. Whitey Herzog, who I had a chance to visit with last night, still watches every game, not just of the Cardinals, but all over Major League Baseball. And in his 80s is just brilliantly on top of what's going on around baseball to this day. He won the World Championship here in '82 against names like Gorman Thomas. He could have been on that mustache graphic.
Then facing the Kansas City Royals in 1985, the Cardinals up 3-1, and the Royals came back and won 3 in a row. And then a terrific World Series, the 1987 World Series. Cardinals beaten by the Minnesota Twins.
That's outside. The count full now on Matt Carpenter.
Stability equals success. Cardinal managers to be honored in Cooperstown this year. There have been seamless transitions from Shandy's through the Herzog era to Tony La Russa. Not that there weren't managers in between. Vern Rapp back in the late 70s, the great Kenny Boyer, the captain.
Joe Torre
between Whitey and Tony. Hall of Famer Whitey Herzog.
Here is a 3-2. Runner goes, and the pitch down and in, a walk. And with 2 on, 1 out, Schumacher's coming up. Today's game is sponsored by new Just for Men Auto Stop. It's foolproof. Gray is over. And by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. While we're on the topic, Whitey was telling me last night that he had a couple of lunches during spring training with Mike Matheny, and he said, I told him 2 things, and he thinks Matheny thought Matheny would be a great manager and thinks he's off to an unbelievable start. Was impressed with the way he ran spring training and the kind of person he is, even when he was a player here with the Cardinals. But he told Matheny 2 things. 1, be honest with the press. 2, don't say anything in the press about your players unless you've said it to your player to his face. Don't let them read something through the media or hear it through the media for the first time. Runners go, and Schumacher hits a base hit down the right field line. The Cardinals aggressive, and that's going to score 2. They were going on the pitch, and the Cardinals lead by 4. It's 7-3.
How about that? Talk about an aggressive style of baseball. They hit and run with runners on at first and second. Matheny realizing that the Cardinals have a 2-run lead, and when you have a lead in the late innings, you take chances. This is a chancy hit and run that worked. Veras upset that ball just eluded Matt Gammel's glove at first base.
And now Komatsu, who came up through the Brewers organization as a Rule 5 draft pick out of the Milwaukee system. 1 for 6 as a pinch hitter, digs his way in, batting for Boggs, who had a perfect inning with a strikeout. 7-3 game here in the 8th, and a breaking ball drops in, strike 1. Cardinals had Mott getting ready earlier. No longer a save situation, but it's still Mott who is on his feet in the bullpen. Inside, a ball and a strike. Komatsu's just 24 years old. Left-handed batter all the way, waits for a 1-1, and he went up to get it, came up empty. And for Eric Komatsu, who's a guy who had a .302 career minor league total as a hitter, an average, popped 24 home runs, and he can run. Stole 57 bases. Cardinals will get Alan Craig back shortly. Became a star for the Cardinals last October during the postseason, and Berkman back. Komatsu got a piece, and so the roster spot of a guy like Komatsu could be in jeopardy. Shane Robinson, maybe Tyler Green, but those will be 2 players that will be added over the next couple of weeks.
Hey, and when you put on a hit and run with runners on at first and second, you not only have to know your hitter, that he can put the ball in play. Schumacher was the hitter. But you also have to know the pitcher that he's hitting against. He's got to throw strikes. He did. Schumacher delivered.
That's inside, 2-2. Ken Rosenthal is with us. And Kenny, I was taken by your comment in the notes that you hand to us about topics that we may talk about during the game on Saturday. And I want to get to you after this pitch. The count 2-2 with a runner at second. And one out here in the eighth. 7-3 St. Louis on top, and Komatsu lines one into center. Over to get it is Gomez, 2 out. And that was that you were critical of the hiring of Mike Matheny here with St. Louis, and considering the start and the way he has taken the reins here, what do you think so far of Mike Matheny as manager of the Cardinals?
Well, Joe, you have to be impressed. The reason I was critical was because I just felt the job was too tough for someone who had never done it before. But there are a couple of things that I didn't consider about both him and Robin Ventura with the White Sox. These guys were both accomplished major leaguers. They played a long time. Managing is not going to define them. And the other thing is, in both cases, they played in the cities where they are now managing. So they understand the fan base, they understand the expectations, and the people in those cities, in turn, know who they are, know what they're about. So both of them so far off to really good starts.
0-1 the count on Furcal, runner at second, 2 out. Fly ball into left field. Braun is there. The inning is over. The Cardinals get 2.
I think along those lines, Matheny has the edge because he was a catcher.
He was a catcher, and he's got a heck of a team to manage. He's done a great job. MLB on Fox is presented by Chevrolet as Jason Mott, who stepped into the role of closer down the stretch last year for the Cardinals, takes over and fires that good fastball at 94 for a strike to Alex Gonzalez, and we're underway in the 9th inning. 7-3 St. Louis on top, trying to take the first 2 games of this series and win their 14th game of the season against 7 losses. That's into center, to his right, and in is Jay. 1 out. And our Burger King smooth play of the day. Yadier Molina, so good at receiving pitches, received this one with his bat and flipped it out into left off the starter Estrada, and gave the Cardinals a 5-3 lead at the time. Then a hug for the starter Loesch, who in his least effective start, and that's a comment that's easily made because he's been so good through his first starts this season, is in line for the win, and if he gets it, he will go to 4-0.
Loesch with a .99 earned run average in his first 4 starts. That includes taking a no-hitter into the 8th inning against the Miami Marlins
in his first start of the year.
Yeah.
0-2 the count on Kataris. He has a hit. He has an RBI on a bases loaded walk, and that one gets away. Just to finish the point on Matheny, it's easy to say a guy's done a great job. Here we are with the Cardinals playing in their 21st game of the year. The point is, he had never done it. There were questions about how he was going to set up and run spring training, what he was going to be like making the transition as a guy who had never managed, to a leader with this team. And I wasn't alone in thinking that with a guy like Terry Francona out there, who had won 2 World Series with the Red Sox, he was the easier selection. Now taking all the information in as Kataris grounds out to the second baseman Schumacher, I am 100% convinced that John Mozeliak, who's in the shadows there, made the right choice, and Mike Matheny may really thrive as a manager in the big leagues because of his honesty and the way he learned this game from a lot of the greats.
Well, you've got to understand that Terry Francona would have been the safest choice. There would not have been questions about Francona if the Cardinals had started off 7-13 through their first 20 instead of 13-7. So it took some guts on the part of Mozeliak and the owner, Bill DeWitt, to agree to it, and they've got the right man. I'll guarantee. I don't know what's going to happen to the Cardinals this year, but the guy at the head of the Cardinals is the right man for the job.
Totally agree. Base hit into right off the bat of Nori Aoki, and the top of the 9th inning continues. The Brewers need 2 more base runners to have a chance, and right now that's up to Ricky Weeks, who is 1 for 2 with 2 walks. Crowd is ready for the final out of this day, and there's a strike over the inside corner. If Weeks and Gomez can get on, the hitter at the plate, the guy on deck, Braun would bat in this 9th inning, representing the tying run. Mott trying to save it, or actually just close it down. No save chance. In relief of Boggs, Marte, and Loesch. 2 strikes on Ricky Weeks. They don't hold against Aoki. What a start for the world champion Cardinals as they win it 7-3. They're 14-7 with a comfortable lead in the NL Central. Loesch the winner, 4-0. Estrada the loser, 0-1, no save. In a 2-hour, 30-minute game that was well played, and the Cardinals win it 7-3. Mike Matheny, who said, we know there are going to be dips. We know there are going to be rough patches. Well, his start to his managerial career here in 2012 could not have started any better. They've done it with pitching. They've done it with hitting, base running, and they're having fun. And I think more fun than they've had in recent years, with Matheny letting the reins loose a little bit here with the Cardinals. A Saturday afternoon in St. Louis. We saw some home runs. We saw some good pitching. And in the end, the Cardinals win it 7-3. Matt Vasgersian and the guys will be along on the other side of the break. The world champs are off and rolling in 2012. For Ken and Tim, I'm Joe. So long from St. Louis. Cardinals win 7-3.